ignorance almost shields you and protects you from building up interest and fascination. It's like your subconsciousness wants to tell you, don't dare to get any knowledge about this topic or this culture or this people, because in the end you find them fascinating. Hey my heroic friend, this is Sascha from the Hero Expedition Europe, where it is my mission to do something that I'm proud of or something that pushes me out of my comfort zone every day. And I'm here in this beautiful spot in southern France. And my challenge in France is a special one because I don't have a real connection to France. I have a connection to many other countries in Europe, and my family and I, we never spent holidays in France, so there was never this connection building up to the French language or to the French cuisine, and I always felt this little distance in myself to France. And then if you feel that, then this sometimes gets enforced over the years. And I heard stories of my friends traveling to France, and the French people don't want to refuse almost to speak English with them, even if they know English. And this kind of builds up in your mind, and then you have this predefined idea of how French people react, and that they don't want to speak English and only speak French. And so this time I thought, no, I'm gonna do a challenge that busts my prejudice concerning French people and French language. And I do this little task, and that is just that I learn French. But I only have like 2 or 3 days traveling through France, so this is a really short delve into learning French. But nevertheless, when you try to learn something, when you accumulate knowledge about something, then usually that's a pretty good prejudice buster. And that is what I wanted to do. So I just sat down with one of these language learning apps, and I just did a few little lessons for maybe 30 minutes. The experiment is not how they react at all. It's more that I changed my inner mindset by exposing myself to this challenge and trying to get another viewpoint. This is Carcassonne, the medieval fortress situated on top of the city. And this is where I try to test the little tidbits of French that I learned, which is absolutely nothing. Bonjour. Une crêpe? Avec sucré. Et voilà. Merci beaucoup. Merci, au revoir. So that was my first performance. I'm not quite satisfied with it, and I don't even eat crepe with sugar. But I really wanted to test this when I saw the crepe vendor over there. Pardon? Tu ne parles pas français, parlez-vous anglais?
Toi un peu.
Could you make a photo?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, I haven't filmed all my attempts, but one time in a bakery I even got a baguette for free from the girl at the counter. I just have to say it was a brilliant experience, and I found the French pretty friendly. It kind of busted my prejudice, and that was the sole purpose of this challenge. It was not a test for how well I can learn French in a couple of minutes, and it was absolutely not to prove a point about the French people. It is a technique to bust your own prejudice. Whenever you feel that you have a predefined idea about something, and especially if it's a negative one, then try this. Get more knowledge, first step, and then engage. That's also important. And ideally engage with your knowledge. So I just got a little tiny knowledge of French, and I engaged and interacted with what is absolutely logical with French people. But on a side note, of course, I always analyze my challenges and I try to perfect them. And one thing is, beforehand, I anticipated that it would be difficult if I learn a sentence and I memorize it for a few minutes and then I jump into a situation, then usually what happens to me is I forget the sentence or I stutter. And this time it was fairly okay because I used a technique that was before I went into the challenge and I was walking in the city. I was just looking straight at people and I imagined that I would engage them with this sentence and this approach. And that kind of prepared me, because it's a totally different situation if you learn a sentence by heart and then you go into the situation with another person, then your mind is absolutely occupied with the situation and with that other person. So you can prepare that, like stress test it and prepare it under stressful conditions by imagining the situation and being as close as possible to a person. So just when you walk in the street and you, for example, you want to test your new language skills, then envision to talk to that specific person, not just someone in your mind, that person that is just walking beside you or walking in front of you. If you learn something about a culture or a topic, it creates more interest and more fascination. And the opposite is that ignorance almost shields you and protects you from building up interest and fascination. It's like your subconsciousness wants to tell you, don't dare to get any knowledge about this topic or this culture or this people, because in the end you find them fascinating and you want to accumulate more knowledge, and in the end you may also like them. So think about this with your prejudices, with your predefined knowledge and assumptions about things and people. Learn something about them and engage. So now I truly do have a different perspective on French people, and that is wonderful. What about your prejudices? Tell us about your negative or positive assumptions, and tell us about your challenges down in the comments below, or what a wind, or on Facebook and via social media.